Hello everybody, Varun Joram Sisai. Now just imagine one thing. You are sitting at your home, someone just peeps in, asks you to get out. The question is, you will simply rise. Why? Why should I move out? This is my own home, dude. Why should I even move out? Well, that's what really happening in Gaza right now. This has been the recent breaking news at this point of time. Gaza people are really experiencing the worst ever nightmare so far for the past few years. And to tell you about it, nearly 50,000 people have been killed so far right now due to the Israel and Gaza conflict.
More than 50,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since Israel's war with Hamas began. That death toll includes Hamas terrorists.
Now, Donald John Trump, who entered into this particular matter, the world even thought that he's about to put a full stop for this war. Well, he's doing it, but at the same time, he's really having his own business mind at this point of time. Now, before we move actually to this episode, let me just remind you one simple thing that really happened last year. All eyes on Rafah. Now, while media seem to ignore this particular conflict for a longer period of time, there have been a lot of social media trends stating that all eyes on Rafah, where people began to suffer, people in the sense the civilians who began to suffer a lot due to the particular Israel and Gaza conflict. Now, the situation have become far worse than anybody else think. Alright. So this video is really about the current scenario of what Gaza is currently undergoing and where does it's all going to end up. Alright, let's dive into today's video. Alright, first of all, the bad news is that for the last 24 hours, nearly 400 people have been killed in Gaza.
Now, at least 400 people, including children, have been killed in the Gaza enclave after the Israeli military launched a fresh round of airstrikes in the territory in what the Israeli government is terming, quote, the hitting of terror targets, effectively ending weeks of relative calm since a ceasefire was arrived at on the 19th of January.
And the bittermost truth is that more than 50% of the people, that is more than 200 people, are children and women. Now, already these guys don't have proper hospital, no schools, no colleges at the same time. They don't even have proper food supplies and water supplies as well. All have been cut off by Israel Defense Force. Now, the Israel simply tells one simple thing. We have to end the rule of Hamas. In the sense, we have to kill each and every Hamas who's really existing in Gaza right now. And they even named this particular operation as Might and Sword. And once again, Israel wants the whole Gaza and Palestine that this is just a beginning. Guess what? The situation could become far more worse than anybody else could probably think of at this point of time. Now, the Israel Defense Force who's targeting Hamas, they are just not minding the people who are civilians. So they are just randomly targeting the public places, the residences, everything else, and killing hundreds and hundreds of people. But you know what? 2 people or hardly 3 people out of 100 were just Hamas. But the rest 97 or 98 of them are pure civilians, and those innocent people are suffering right now in this particular battlefield. Well, first of all, we need to understand where does this particular war really originates from. Now, to tell you about the flashback, what really occurred, we have to really go beyond 1950s or 1940s to know a lot more better about this. But in simple terms, I'll tell you. The British rule that really occupied even Palestine. At that point of time, there is no such country called as Israel. But in the later stages, when the British was about to give freedom to Palestine, Israel have been given a separate portion of land. At the same time, even the Palestinians were given the same as well. But this particular separation was not really good enough. Therefore, the conflict has really occurred in the 1960s, 1970s. But now, recently, last year, is one such thing that really became so cruel and so crucial at that point of time. The thing is, where the Palestinians simply went into Israel without even their knowledge, and they began to kidnap tons and tons of people. And in order to give counter strike to Palestine, Israel started to target Gaza and started to attack all the residences and the public people as well. Now, to tell you about this particular problem, just imagine India and Pakistan being 2 such nations. There is always a conflict that occurs between Pakistan and India, right? The terrorism, if you just imagine the Pathankot issues or the Himalaya issues or whatever. But the thing is, what if India have literally entered Pakistan and began to attack all civilians, began to attack all the residences, take control of maybe the 30-40% of the Pakistan that really they own. The same situation really occurs in Israel and Gaza as well. Alright. So Israelis, they began to enter Gaza, they began to use their IDF, and they began to encounter all the civilians, and they began to destroy a lot more hospitals, residences and schools and colleges, and make the situation very worst. And this is what really happened. So here's where the involvement of America is so crucial. Now the world started to ask the question to America, hey dude, they are really using America's equipment, they are really using America's ammunitions, America is really giving a huge support, why can't you really stop this? This is, I'm really talking about the Joe Biden's administration that really happened. Since the Joe Biden's administration, the question has been really raised. And at that point of time, Joe Biden's administration really planned for a ceasefire. And as Joe Biden, in order to maintain his legacy in a better manner, he started to implement ceasefire policies and he started to plan to put an end to this war. He had really planned the ceasefire in 3 simple steps or 3 simple stages. First stage, Hamas should really release 50% of the prisoners, and Israel at the same time should release 50% of the prisoners. And stage 2, the rest of them, let's say if they capture 2,000 people, 1,500 in the first stage and remaining 1,000 in the second stage. And third step is that the reconstruction where the building that has been lost, the building that has been destructed and destroyed, everything have to be reconstructed, and this particular operation has been really planned for next 3 to 5 years. Alright, fourth stage is a peace deal. There should be an exact peace deal between Israel and Gaza so that next time there should be no such conflict should really occur, because the conflict in the sense, this is not really just affecting Hamas. Now as I told you earlier, the Hamas is really just 1 or 2% who's really located in Gaza, but the rest of them are civilians, and a strong peace deal and strong level of demilitarization should take place. Alright, this has been really given by Joe Biden last year, but sadly Joe Biden lost the election in 2024 and Donald John Trump became the president, and he is really playing a different game at this point of time. Now to tell you about it, the whole world even thought that the day when Donald John Trump becomes a president, Trump, what he will do is he simply put an end to war.
We are going to finish what we started. We're going to complete the mission. We're going to see this battle through to ultimate victory. We're going to make America great again.
And not just the war between Israel and Gaza, the war between the Russia and Ukraine and whatever, because he wants America to grow, he wants America's economy to grow. He literally loves peace to be in this world. That is what everyone else really expected at that point of time. And since Trump's arrival, he's really working a lot on this peaceful deal with Russia and Ukraine. At the same time, he's really working a lot with Israel and Gaza as well. So from the first day of really becoming the president, the world began to admire a lot of selfishness in him. If you ever watched the previous episode, first of all, what Donald Trump does to the Russia and Ukraine war is that he simply wants to extract natural resources that is really existing in Ukraine. And that is why he wants to put a peace deal to Russia. Even in that particular Russia-Ukraine conflict, Donald John Trump gives a huge unfair advantage to Russia and even to Ukraine. He's not really going to pay any money, or he's not really going to give any sort of the land that has been captured by Russia already. Rather, he simply asks for the compensation, because Biden government have really paid tons and tons of, in fact, billions of dollars for weapons, billions of dollars for ammunition, billions of dollars for soldiers. So in fact, he really asks the same in terms of extracting the minerals from their own place, from their own land, from Ukraine's land. They want to really extract a lot more minerals that are totally available. In the sense, to tell you about it in simple terms, the titanium, uranium, various other minerals that are really available, and US want to extract all of it in compensation. Now coming to Israel and Gaza conflict, that is Israel and Hamas conflict, what Trump wants is, he wants to really make this particular land as a real estate.
I would own this. Think of it as a real estate development for the future. It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians have the right to return?
No, they wouldn't, because they're going to have much better housing, much better. In other words, I'm talking about building a permanent place for them, because if they have to return now, it'll be years before you could ever, it's not habitable.
So the thing is that, let's imagine ECR. Imagine ECR, how it is, the Eastern Coastal Road, where there has been beautiful sites across sea, across shore and everything else. And to tell you about the USA, imagine Hawaii, how beautiful it is, right? Similarly, even Trump wants to make a beautiful real estate environment. He wants to create a new real estate business in Gaza, because it is located across the sea, right? And he's really planning to build a lot of residences, a lot of apartments, a lot of 5-star, even probably 7-star hotels and everything else. And he wants to bring new businesses into Gaza. But the question is, where does the people of Gaza go right now? Now, this began to really criticize Trump's administration from the earlier stages. In fact, the December 2024, Jan 2025, the earlier stages, Donald John Trump's administration began to face a lot more criticism. And at that point of time, he began to stay silent. But the bitter truth is that Israel already started their back-end jobs at this point of time. Now, to tell you about it, first thing what Israel did is that they stopped going into second phase. In the sense, in first phase already the 50% of the people have been released from Gaza and 50% of the people has been released from Israel as well. Now in second phase, the remaining 50% of the people has been not yet released from Israel, and instead what they did is they started to encounter the Gaza people so badly.
The 2-month ceasefire ended days ago when Israel ramped up its airstrikes. Israel started the war after Hamas terrorists launched a surprise attack.
And the building that has been already damaged, or the people who was already affected, they began to face furthermore worst ever nightmare at this point of time. Well, Joe Biden's government seems to show some sort of courtesy to Gaza and Palestine, but Donald John Trump's administration does exact opposite to Israel and Gaza. In fact, at one side, they really continue to give a lot more support because Israel is really being funded. The IDF has been totally funded and supported by US government, right? The US government and the US military force, right? So at one side, they began to fund and they began to support the IDF, and at the other side, Trump's aim is to really capture Gaza and to make it as a real estate business seem to be so brutal at this point of time. Now, another brutal truth is that at one side of the world, we seems to emerge with a lot more technologies like artificial intelligence, the robotics, and even various level of improvements has occurred in space, technology and energy as well. But the other side, the war seems to create a huge destruction for mankind. And there is always a quote, right, which I would probably remember. War is a funny game. The best way to win it, or the best way to play it, is not to play at all. In fact, to avoid it or to ignore it completely. And at the same time, the UN, the United Nations, is really getting a bad name at this point of time. The thing is, what does those people do? What does UN is really doing? What does UN is really waiting for? That is what really Indian government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is really asking to United Nations, what you guys are really doing. The conflict is really occurring between Israel and Gaza, and really thousands of people are losing their lives every single day. And what do you do? And what is the ultimate purpose of you? You have really lost your power. And what is the ultimate purpose of United Nations? To maintain peace deal, to ignore conflicts at the same time, to develop the strong business growth between the nations without any sort of counter tariffs or anything else. So even the United Nations, which is being so calm at this point of time, seems to create a grudges for the Prime Minister. And usually India, the country like India and many other developing countries, they seem to stay so calm because over the 70 years of independence, this is the first time where India is really raising voice against this particular conflicts, against USA and against the United Nations. Because India is a growing economy, they began to focus on their growth, they began to focus on their own economy and other things. But this is the first time where the Prime Minister, literally the Prime Minister of India, have begun to criticize UN in a recent podcast. And in simple terms, the Prime Minister Modi tells that UN is a complete failure in order to adapt to the contemporary global challenges. So the actual victim behind all of this is Gaza, the people of Gaza in fact, because they don't have proper food, they don't have proper water, they don't have any electricity, they don't have even schools, colleges or anything else. Every single day seems to be a deathbed for them. And why? No one knows whether they will wake up the very next day or not. A single bomb blast could simply end their life. And that is the bittermost ever situation in experiencing by the present people who is currently living. In fact, they just don't live, they just don't survive. They are simply waiting for the time of death at this point of time. Well, whatever said and done, concluding this particular video, now we people who might think that there is no job, there is no dream life we could probably live on, those people are living the life of death. In fact, I could probably tell you, because anytime they could move into graveyard. That is the situation of Gaza people at this point of time. So the situation that's really happening to Gaza could happen to any country in future stages, if at all this particular situation or trend continues. Alright, so war is not one such thing that could probably be welcomeable by any mankind at this point of time. Innovation, technology is one such thing that is so crucial. We could probably boost the GDP. We could probably innovate various amount of technologies, job opportunities. Those things are very crucial in order to grow the nation, in order to make the nation as well. And that is what I want to tell in this video. Alright, so God need to save Gaza and their innocent people as well. So thank you for watching this video, and for more such insights, make sure to subscribe my channel. See you in next video. Until then, bye bye for now.